Welcome, honored viewers, to our epic journey. We witness the ultimate clash of ancient values. In the 1st century, Rome worshipped absolute power. To be blessed meant you conquered and held great wealth. If you were poor or weak, society viewed you as a worthless failure, cast aside by a ruthless world. But then, on a quiet hill, a humble carpenter spoke words that shattered the iron logic of empires. He declared that the broken and empty were the true heirs. How could weakness become the divine privilege? Ancient Roman texts reveal the 1st century was bound by the brutal concept of Pax Romana. This Roman peace was forged entirely through extreme military force and devastating conflict. To emperors in Rome, the highest virtue was pure, unyielding dominance over all weaker nations. Ancient records show that mercy was often perceived as a dangerous flaw within their mighty empire. If you possessed a gentle spirit, the ancient world would quickly crush you without a single second thought. Wealth and physical strength were the only metrics to measure a citizen's value in society. The aristocratic elite wore purple silk and paraded their massive fortunes through the dusty streets. They believed divine blessing was exclusively granted to triumphant generals and the richest merchants. Beneath the towering marble pillars, peasants lived in constant and truly grinding poverty. Exhausted laborers carried the massive financial weight of the empire on their frail and broken shoulders. Every day was a desperate struggle for mere survival under the blazing Middle Eastern sunlight. Heavy taxes drained their resources, leaving their children crying from relentless hunger in the dark. To be impoverished meant you were entirely invisible to the lawmakers and the high priests. Tears were shed in silence, because crying aloud would invite further abuse from the heavily armed guards. The elite leaders of Judea reinforced this deeply oppressive and rigid social hierarchy. They taught that immense suffering was a direct punishment from God for hidden sins and moral failures. Thus, the destitute were not only physically starved, but spiritually condemned by their own people. Imagine waking up believing the creator of the universe had entirely abandoned you. This was the devastating reality for the marginalized crowds gathering by the Sea of Galilee. They were the forgotten outcasts, stripped of their dignity, their land, and their fundamental human rights. For decades, they prayed for a mighty warrior king to descend from the heavens and vanquish their foes. They expected a violent rebellion to finally overthrow the cruel Roman oppressors with steel. Yet destiny prepared a different approach to dismantle this massive architecture of power. Instead of a general riding a war horse, they found a humble carpenter sitting quietly on the grass. He carried no weapons, possessed no wealth, and wore the simple woven garments of a common laborer. Yet accounts reveal his magnetic presence commanded absolute attention from the massive crowd. Thousands of exhausted men and women sat on the hillside, waiting desperately for a spark of hope. The atmosphere was deeply tense, filled with unspoken pain and the heavy burden of generations. They looked at his weathered face, a face that perfectly mirrored their own daily struggles and silent tears. If you were trapped in that crowd, would you be ready to hear a truth, contradicting all you knew? The ancient world held its breath as he opened his mouth to deliver the most famous speech ever. This was the moment when the rigid foundation of human pride was about to be completely shattered. The brutal logic of the empire would soon face the unstoppable power of a divine paradox. His voice echoed across the quiet mountain, carrying words that instantly shocked the listening crowd. He declared, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the eternal kingdom of the heavens." A profound wave of confusion washed over the tired faces of the peasants sitting on the green grass. Blessed are the poor? This statement directly violated every rule of Roman society. Poverty was a curse, a brutal disease that robbed them of their loved ones. How could it be a blessing? Then he continued, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be deeply and completely comforted by God." The widows and the orphans looked up, their eyes wide with sheer disbelief at this magnificent promise. In a world that mocked tears, this teacher dared to claim that crying was a direct pathway to divinity. He proclaimed, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall ultimately inherit the entire earth without a fight." To Roman soldiers nearby, the concept of the meek inheriting anything was highly laughable. Empires are conquered with iron swords and brutal force, not with gentle hearts and peaceful dispositions. But the carpenter was slowly tearing down the arrogant philosophy of human self-sufficiency. He offered no empty promises or rallied the desperate crowd for a violent uprising. Instead, he diagnosed the fundamental sickness of the human condition with surgical precision. Scholars say this sermon introduced a new spiritual economy to the ancient world. It directly challenged the religious elite, who believed strict rituals guaranteed salvation. Those Pharisees stood tall in their fine robes, deeply confident in their own manufactured righteousness. They assumed their strict adherence to the ancient laws made them vastly superior to the masses. But the teacher exposed the fatal flaw of relying on achievements to reach the holy Creator. He taught that moral perfection was an impossible illusion designed to feed the human ego. The Beatitudes acted as a harsh mirror, reflecting the deep poverty of every human soul. Even the wealthiest merchant in Jerusalem was completely bankrupt before the divine judge. This message struck the crowd like lightning, illuminating the dark corners of their tired and broken minds. They began to realize their lack of earthly wealth might not be a severe spiritual disadvantage. In truth, their vulnerability positioned them perfectly to receive the greatest gift of the ages. The thick walls of social hierarchy began to crumble under this extraordinary revelation. He declared a spectacular reversal of fortunes that no politician could possibly engineer. The valleys were being lifted up, and the arrogant mountains were brought brutally down to the dust. This hillside became the birthplace of a revolution, requiring absolutely no weapons or violence. It was a quiet rebellion of the heart, an uprising of broken people with nothing left to lose. Their worn faces transformed from deep despair to a fragile, awakening hope as the sermon continued. He spoke directly to their deepest wounds, validating the silent agony they endured for years. To truly grasp this paradox, we must dive deeper into the concept of spiritual bankruptcy. What does it mean to be poor in spirit? It is the absolute destruction of the arrogant ego. It is the painful realization you have absolutely nothing of value to offer the perfect God. When your hands are full of your own pride, wealth, and self-righteousness, you simply cannot receive His grace. Spiritual poverty is when you drop everything, standing completely empty and desperate for mercy. It is the courage to admit your carefully constructed moral disguise is completely useless and fake. The Roman elite could not accept this, as their entire identity relied on projecting massive strength. To be empty was their greatest fear. But the teacher proved that emptiness is the prerequisite for God. Only when a vessel is fully hollowed out can it be filled with the overflowing water of life. This is why peasants on the hill were uniquely positioned to enter the glorious kingdom of heaven. Their physical poverty already stripped away dangerous illusions of earthly security and power. They knew they could not save themselves, and that realization became their greatest spiritual asset. The clash of these worldviews remains the most profound psychological battle in human history. We constantly strive to climb the ladder of success, hoping to reach a place of absolute safety. We build fortresses of money and reputation to protect our fragile hearts from all rejection. But the Sermon on the Mount insists that the higher we climb, the further we distance ourselves from God. The divine presence is not found at the victorious summit, but down in the dark and weeping valleys. Blessed are those who mourn, because their shattered hearts become the sacred dwelling place of the Creator. Grief is not a sign of weakness. It is the honest acknowledgement that this world is deeply broken. When you cry for the injustice around you, your tears align perfectly with the weeping heart of God. The Roman legion sought to end suffering through domination, but they only multiplied the agony. The teacher embraced suffering, transforming it into a bridge that connects fallen humanity to heaven. Look closely at the hands of the listeners. They tremble, opening wide to surrender their heavy burdens. This absolute surrender is the most terrifying, yet liberating experience a human being can have. It requires you to step off the throne of your own life and allow the divine architect to take control. Are you brave enough to let go of your protective armor and stand truly bankrupt before the light? For the Galilean crowd, this realization was like sudden torrential rain falling on a parched desert. Decades of religious guilt and societal shame washed away beneath his remarkably gentle words. They were finally seen not as worthless sinners or political pawns, but as deeply loved children. The destructive cycle of arrogance was broken, paving the way for a new era of human peace. These sacred beatitudes became the holy constitution of an upside-down kingdom.
Theirs is the kingdom of heaven.
Within this divine realm, the arrogant rulers are ultimately sent away with absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, those deeply broken and hurting people will finally receive a truly glorious crown. True blessing never means the complete absence of all human pain and physical suffering. Instead, it means deeply experiencing the comforting presence of God right within the pain. Your heavy and deeply painful tears do not fall meaninglessly into a completely empty void. Every single drop of sorrow is carefully collected and remembered by the Creator. This is a kingdom where ultimate victory is not achieved by vanquishing your enemies. It is secured entirely through a radical, self-sacrificing love that heals the soul. For the poor Galilean peasants, these gentle words were a powerful balm poured over their wounds. The harsh and judgmental shadows of the religious law faded in the golden morning sun. They finally understood that their earthly misery was not a sign of divine hatred. Rather, it was an open doorway, inviting them to lean completely on heavenly grace. The rich and the powerful falsely trust in their fading gold to guarantee a safe future. But gold will inevitably tarnish, and every single earthly empire will turn to dust. Only the truly humble spirit, stripped of all arrogance, can survive the eternal judgment. Just look at the serene expressions settling softly upon the faces of the weary crowd. They are no longer defined by their earthly social status or their painful lack of possessions. They are now the highly honored, chosen citizens of a kingdom transcending time and space. This profound truth slowly and quietly dismantled the oppressive hierarchy of the Romans. It proved that genuine true power does not reside in sharp swords or intimidating fortresses. True power is the supernatural ability to maintain profound peace in a storm. The carpenter from Nazareth established a legacy that outlasted every ancient empire. While Rome eventually fell into absolute ruin, these gentle words continued to echo. They echoed through the dark centuries, offering genuine comfort to millions of broken souls. The Beatitudes challenge us today, forcing us to examine our own hidden motivations. Are we constantly striving to build our own fragile, temporary empires of dirt and clay? Or are we willing to embrace the deep vulnerability of true spiritual poverty? The divine cannot possibly fill a heart that is already stuffed with immense personal pride. He eagerly seeks the empty vessels, the ones who recognize their absolute, profound need. The gentle sunlight on this hillside signifies the dawn of a brand new spiritual era. It is a magnificent era where divine compassion triumphs over brutal military might. Those who sat in the thick darkness of oppression have finally seen a magnificent light. This is the incredible promise of the Beatitudes, echoing across the generations.
Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted.
When you feel entirely crushed by life, remember that you are perfectly positioned for grace. The King has spoken, and the fundamental rules of the universe have been rewritten forever.
I make all things new.
But this spectacular kingdom of peace will face the terrifying violence of reality. The upside-down kingdom was declared. But if an enemy strikes you, how should true meekness respond? Is turning the other cheek a sign of cowardice or profound divine strength? Share your thoughts below. Please like this video, share it, and subscribe to our channel for more historical truths. Thank you.